The Al-Quran of Muhammad, translated out of Arabic into French by Du Ryer, Andrew Du Ryer. But after that, we have the Englishization in 1660 by Alexander Ross, who lived 1591 to 1654. And Du Ryer was the lord of Malazere and resident for the King of France at Alexandria. The translation to the Christian reader. There being so many sects and heresies banded together against the truth, finding that of Muhammad wanting to muster, I thought good to bring it to their colors, that so viewing thine enemies in their full body, thou mayest the better prepare to encounter, and I hope to overcome them, and may happily startle thee to find him so speak English as if he had made some conquest on the nation. But thou wilt soon reject that fear. Thou consider that his Al-Quran, the groundwork of the Turkish religion, and that shows the misunderstanding. So not only was it not a Arab Persian religion, it certainly wasn't the Turkish religion, or certainly wasn't the Mongolian religion, although is religion practiced among those people to different degrees. It wasn't about those ethnic groups. Hath already been translated into almost all languages in Christendom, at least the more general, as the Latin, Italian, French, etc., never gained any proselyte, where the sword, its most forceful and strongest argument, hath not prevailed. And indeed the greatest doctors of the religion have never alleged anything for the truth thereof, but the success of their wars. Well, actually far more than that, but and greatness of their empire. Well, that's why so many of them are weak nowadays, is because they're like looking at some glory days of empire rather than let's bring out the teachings and being an example, right? But there's still plenty of people. Then which nothing's more fallacious, for that which both in former and these latter ages hath been common to the bad with the good, cannot be a certain evidence of the justice of a cause, or the truth of religion. Thou shalt find it of so rude and incongruous a composure, so farced with contradictions, blasphemies, obscene speeches. Now again, where's the obscenity? Where's the contradictions? And if they really believe it, it's not blasphemy. And ridiculous fables, stuff that if you're Christian, you can't possibly believe, basically. That some modest and more rational Muslimin have thus excused it, that the Prophet wrote 120,000 sayings. Well, he said more than that, but he didn't actually write them down. Whereof 3,000 only are good. Yeah, that's a gross exaggeration. People that said, I'm going to include 3,000 in my book, variations, complete sayings, whatever. But, some of them are like 3,000 here or 6,000 there, but it turns out to be, 10 times that or whatnot, the actual narrations included in that book. But basically quite the minority of what was said. And some sayings are said like 50 or 100, some of these you encounter 50 or 100 or 200 or a lot of people saying the same saying. The residue as the impossibility of the moon's falling into his sleeve, the conversion and salvation of the devils and the like, are false and ridiculous, yet What, something other than humans can't make a good choice? Is that what he's saying about the jinn? Because they have their choices too. Yet is the whole esteemed to so sacred that upon the cover thereof there is inscribed, "Let none touch it, but he who is clean, nor are the vulgar," the secularist, of course, "permitted to read it, but live and die in an implicit faith of what their priests deliver, which indeed, as faith, the learned Grotius is a manifest argument of its supposed iniquity, that for the merchandise may justly be suspected, which will not be sold unless unseen. And though all men are not alike perspicuous in the knowledge and discerning of things, some by arrogancy and vain conceit of themselves, others by affection." And the Bible, even rich people weren't necessarily allowed to touch a Bible for hundreds of years, but the Quran was widely and openly taught to everybody for free. But you didn't have to have a professional priest for the Quran to be spread. But that's argument falls apart. And though all men are not alike perspicuous in the knowledge and discerning of things, some by arrogancy and vain conceit of themselves, others by affection, some by customs being drawn into error, yet should we believe that the way to eternal life cannot be understood by them, who without any respect of profit or preferment seek it, submitting themselves with all they have to God, imploring his assistance. We should sin against his infinite goodness. Therefore, Christian reader, though some, conscious of their own instability in religion and of theirs too, like the Turks, in this whole prosperity and opinions they follow, were unwilling this should see the press. Yet I am confident if thou hast been so true a votary to orthodox religion, well, supposed correctly believing religion, right, as to keep thyself untainted of their follies, this shall not hurt thee. And as for those of that batch having once abandoned the sun of the gospel, I believe that they will wander as far into utter darkness by following strange lights as by this ignis fatuus of Al-Quran, such as it is I present to thee, having taken the pains only to translate it out of the French, not doubting, though it had been a poison that they infected a very great, but most unfound part of the universe, it may prove an antidote to confirmation in thee, to confirm in thee the health of Christianity. And so a lot of this is proving true. The main faith, now various New Age faiths, I guess. My country is no longer a Christian majority. 4 years ago, it wasn't a white Christian majority, and now we're seeing that. And some of the demographics have changed. There is ideas of that Black people in Louisiana are, and the people in Utah, but that's white white Christian in Utah, but in Texas, but yeah, some areas, most of the Christians are Hispanic, most of them are Black, but or at least the active ones are the ones that are active in going to church. But certainly Islam, far more than most are admitting, like all of a sudden September 11th, and like the population of the Muslim in this country, that country is like a fifth. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe they don't want to be signed on the rolls, but whatever faith they were, and you're finding they're building more masajid. They're being fuller. Now, some of them have, some of the coronavirus stuff is like, that was problematic in that respect, but it's coming true. Islam is, taking over the West, not by force, but by people who were basically denying the divinity of Jesus and looking for something else. Looking for literal lack of contradictions rather than a figurative lack of contradictions, and other issues that we could talk about.